This is the Mikedjkelly podcast.
This is the Mikedjkelly. This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Cap, coat, vest and long johns on, and we're ready to go. Here it is, brand spanking new for you and 2022. Climb aboard as we go head first into the mess, the mire, the cesspit of time that we find ourselves in. Jump in, join in. Here we go with the up-to-the-minute, faster than fast, first of 2022, Mikedjkelly, Shorter Than Short podcast.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Attention, attention, Captain Calamity here. So scene set, let's get going with another ratings winner of a top-shelf, cram-packed audio adventure that's all squeezed and stuffed into what we lovingly call the Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
So when you shuffle off, where will you go? Will it be heaven or hell? And we're not talking of nightclubs. Is it better to lie or tell the truth? Which would you prefer your kids to do? So on we go.
On this week's podcast.
Coming up on this Shorter Than Short podcast, reckless politicians, parties, 4 times more likely, Platinum Jubilee, Broadband, James Martinm, charities, competitions and a whole lot more.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Hey up, what's happening in the news? Oh yes, it's day 70 of Michael Gove being stuck in a lift. No snorting, it's not funny. Ladies and gentlemen, would it be okay if I say that Boris Johnson and the Conservative government are a bit reckless with the nation's health in the way they are dealing with the pandemic? Never mind the way they're dealing with the NHS. If by chance you watched the final Andrew Marr show on the Beeb, they showed a collection of his highlights, which included David Cameron applauding a live performance of the NHS anthem, with Squeeze performing Cradle to the Grave. Worth a listen. Come on, Shorter Than Short listeners, let them know. The NHS is for everyone. Did you know that during the plague of 1666, you would find stone hand sanitizers on streets full of vinegar for you to sanitize with?
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
And more Downing Street news. They're still saying that the decorating in Downing Street was funded in an honourable and honest way. The news bulletin I was watching showed how the place had been decorated under all the recent prime ministers, and all looked okay until it showed how Johnson has had it decorated. I couldn't help laughing at how bad it was.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Talking about things you vote for, I see on social media sites there are links that let you vote on your favourite radio adverts. Why would you do this? There used to be an advert in the 60s for Stimmerol chewing gum, which was good. So good that I can remember all the words and details. Out there on Twitter, Chris Packham retweeting a Greta Thunberg tweet with the intro "Bonkers, deadly bonkers." Brussels airline makes 3,000 unnecessary trips to maintain airport slots. Dr. Amir Khan. We're in the middle of a biodiversity and environmental crisis, but laws are being amended so wild birds can be shot to preserve game birds so they can be shot in the future. Future generations, assuming we get that far, aren't going to forgive us. Keeping the ban. Imagine the reaction if 5 lads off the council estate rode around on mountain bikes shooting foxes and let their pit bulls tear them to pieces. As always, the Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast show is looking at the evidence and based on the science, because that's what the people say, and I saw it in the paper today. Please do drop us a line. Complain or say well done if you want to. Send your own stories for the next episode. Please send them to email hello@mikedjkelly.co.uk, on Twitter @mikedjkellydisco, plus any interesting facts about yourself that we can share in the next show.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
It's competition time and guess the song. Bit of a tricky one this time. What song are these lines from? On second thoughts, I'm not sure it's that difficult. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused. Name the song or the artiste or both. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused. Name the song or the artiste or both that those lines came from.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Just another word on adverts. There is a government-themed advert that says you're 4 times more likely to crash if using a mobile phone while driving. Does that mean that they have some stats that show out of the 100 crashes that 80% were on the phone and 20% were not when they crashed? I don't want to ruin that sort of stat, honest, and I do think it's a good thing not to use the phone when driving. But at the time they took these stats, what if 1 million people were driving and on the phone and having no accidents? That would make the 4 times more likely stat what?
This is the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast.
In fake showbiz news, Eamon Holmes says he's decided to shelve his New Year diet because if he loses loads of weight, everyone will say he just looks ill, like Chris Moyles. New Morris's single, I didn't realise the bread was mouldy until I was halfway through my sandwich, to get its premiere on BBC Radio Devon on Monday. Daniel Radcliffe says, do you reckon it's better to pay through the nose for Duracell batteries or just buy loads of cheaper ones from Poundland and change them more often? The Queen says she's not being funny, but some of the places that have applied to become cities as part of the year's Platinum Jubilee celebrations are laughable.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
And on that note, what are the Queen's 2022 Platinum Jubilee anniversary plans? Buckingham Palace has unveiled the full list of programmes to mark the event, which will include opening the private estate to the public, some of the world's biggest stars performing outside Buck House, Fortnum and Mason to launch a platinum pudding competition. Sounds a bit naff to me. Come on, Shorter Than Short listeners, what do we want?
A bank holiday day off.
We want a bank holiday day off. Fortnum and Mason, I'm feeling a bit peckish. I don't think they have a branch near here. I'll have to make do with Fultons or Herons for a quick snack. Talking of having a snack, have you heard those adverts on the radio about being misled on pensions and how you can reclaim the money? What about if the same thing was possible for all those kebabs you've eaten after a boozy session?
Have you been missold a doner kebab, a large burger and fries, a triple coffee latte double cream chocolate with extra marshmallows? If so, you can reclaim your health and lost wealth by texting FATTY to 12345. Even if you cannot remember where you were when you bought these calorie-loaded snacks from, all you need to do is send your weight, waist size and age to us, and we will do the rest and work out how much compensation you are owed. Just think what you could do with the money. Join a gym, buy an exercise bike or a corset, and for a 50% bigger payout, just ask for your payments in refundable food vouchers.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast.
Over Christmas, Flavour Tree have been advertising their mixer products, saying that 75% of your drink is the mixer. Not in this house, mate. Talking of drinks and parties, it's amazing how many lockdown parties have gone on at number 10. How many people were invited and kept quiet about being invited or going to them? How many radio and TV and newspaper people knew and have kept quiet?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
More from Twitter. Radio News Hub, the Culture Secretary, is planning to phase out 2 and 3G mobile networks by 2033 as part of the government's measure to increase the security of telecom supply chains. Martin Lewis, today's Friday Twitter poll, if one of the 4 most recent Prime Ministers had to be parachuted in to take the helm at number 10, which would you pick? Either choose the best or the least worst, depending on your view. Theresa May, David Cameron, Gordon Brown or Tony Blair. Bank of David, this will make you smile, run by the community to benefit the community and not for the bonus culture. Derek James, when is a party not a party? Diabetes UK, it's not always easy to find the motivation to move more, especially when the cold makes you feel like moving is the last thing you want to do. You might be worried about how to get started. How could it impact your blood sugar levels? How can it fit in with your day.
This is the Short of the Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Today's do-gooders are Zarach.co.uk. Zarach is a charity based in Leeds who delivers beds and basics to children in poverty. This helps families in crisis up from surviving to thriving, eat, sleep and learn. Bex Wilson, founder and chair of trustees, says, I'm a deputy head teacher at an inner city primary school in Leeds. In 2017, whilst teaching an 11-year-old boy, I noticed he wasn't his usual happy self, so I asked if he was feeling tired. His response, and that moment, not that I knew it at the time, were going to change both my life and his. Miss, I'm always tired. I don't have a bed. After speaking with his mum, it became clear that the family had experienced a crisis resulting in an unplanned house move and an unfurnished home. The 3 children shared a bed-bug-infested old sofa cushion to sleep on. They were covered in sores. Mum felt like she had no hope and nowhere to turn, despite working in a city with lots of brilliant community organisations. I discovered there wasn't always help available to get children's beds. I realised I had a choice, to be satisfied with trying to meet his needs with the classroom because that's what I'm paid to do, or to continue to be the best teacher I can whilst using my time and influence to make sure every child in our city and now beyond has their basic needs met. If a child sleeps and eats well, they learn better. Fact. Education is the key to breaking the poverty cycle. It's time we even out the playing field. Find out more, donate if you want, at zarach.org. That's ZARACH.org.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast.
If you're new to the Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast, you can still get to hear all previous episodes just by searching or shouting the Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast. On social media, several people using the line put a mask on him when they disagree with somebody's comments.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
And if you're voting for your favourite advert, a few more to consider. I like the Donkey Sanctuary advert on TV. It makes a change to see some healthy and happy donkeys. Christmas and the chocolatiers were out. Not only does Lind have one, so do Thornton's. I think Thornton's did when they had shops, but not now. I think at Thornton's, large machines are now responsible for their chocolate production. And which ad has the line, have a biscuit and save 3 lives. Answer later. No travel restrictions. Why not shoot off for a January holiday in the sun? No holiday time left to take off? Don't worry. Declare yourself ill and you can take up to 28 days off without having a sick note until the end of January.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Guess the celebrity, born on the 3rd of February in 1970 in Epsom. He has played several characters in the Star Wars film series, Professor Phileas Flitwick and Griphook in the Harry Potter films, and he has also presented the TV game shows Celebrity Squares and Tenable. Who is he? Talking of game shows, I saw one recently where the BBC was offering 92 grand as a prize. Where does the BBC get this kind of prize from?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Don't forget, pod pickers, if you want to get in touch about anything to do with the Shorter Than Short podcast show, please use the following to contact us and tell us about any stories, gossip, jokes, or anything for the next episode. Email hello@mikedjkelly.co.uk and on Twitter @MikeKellyDisco. If you have time, it would be appreciated if you could give us a review on any of the usual feedback sites. Go on then, let's have a few phrases that wind people up. Weekend home, infinity pool, after my medical mistake. What do you bring to the table? Here's a quick one. Who said this in a film? For a minute there, room service took on a whole new meaning.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast.
Nice to see BT and EE advertising their unbreakable Wi-Fi. No mention of the Wi-Fi services that OpenReach, BT and EE will not fix. That means some of us have the lowest broadband speeds in the country. I'm told that Cabinet 22, which serves us, is the only cabinet from the exchange that's not been upgraded. I'm again told that this is because they will not pull in a fibre cable as the conduit is blocked. Apparently we need to pay to get the cable upgraded. How unfair is that?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
When somebody is too unwell to cope for themselves at home, should they go into a care home or a budget hotel? I believe it's about £1,000 a week in a care home. I bet you can do it for about half that at a travel lodge. Get your room cleaned and bedding changed daily and food. And on the subject of older people, do town and city centres try to attract older people into them? I don't think so. Parking tends to be on the outskirts with long walks to anywhere within the city centre. But what is there in the city centre to attract older people? Do they want older people in?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Final burst from Twitter. Have I got news for you? Ministers said to be considering options during yesterday's cabinet meeting thought to be Stilton, Wensleydale and Bree. Gillian Turner, the World Health Organization, has announced that dogs cannot contract COVID-19. Dogs previously held in quarantine can now be released. To be clear, who let the dogs out? Hayley Ellis just handed my daughter a yoghurt the wrong way and she's kicked off like Gordon Ramsay in a Texican one-star diner. The golden years of parenthood. Two-tone. I stopped at a very upmarket burger van yesterday. It had 4 Michelin tyres. John Dredge, if you know how many children Boris Johnson has, phone in now and win a remote-controlled TV. And the late news, will Corbyn's Peace and Justice Party be a thing by the time the next episode of this podcast comes out? What's this? James Martin believes the UK deserves much butter and has called for margarine to be banned. The TV chefs say he hates it so much that he wants it taken off supermarket shelves for good. It only seems a few years ago that Leslie Crowther was saying he couldn't tell the difference between margarine and butter. J.K. Rowling causing much upset in the Quidditch circles in the States. Quidditch is a game played by teams on broomsticks chasing balls of various sizes called quaffles, bludgers and the golden snitch.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast.
I see the government has quietly backtracked on proposals to require every shop and office and factory to install at least one electric charger point in their car parks. If you want to get in touch with this top-rated and sometimes much listened to podcast, please contact by email hello@mikedjkelly.co.uk, on Twitter @MikeDJKelly. Indeed, if you want a podcast making for your business or need any help with radio producer or presentation, travel news, voiceover work, please get in touch. Tell your friends about the podcast. All they need to do to find it is search on Google for the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast. Did you get it? Who said this in a film? For 1 minute, room service took on a whole new meaning. Try it in a different accent if you didn't.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Okay, it's time to go. Competition time and guess a song. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused. Come on, you Shorter Than Short followers, what's the answer? Easy. It's Eurythmics and Sweet Dreams are made of this. Guess the celebrity. Born on the 3rd of February 1970 in Epsom, he's played several characters in the Star Wars film series, Professor Phileas Flitwick and Griphook in the Harry Potter films, and he's also presented the TV game shows Celebrity Squares and Tenable. Who is he? Warwick Ashley Davis. Yes, Warwick Davis. And which ad has the line, "Have a biscuit and save 3 lives"? The Give Blood donation service ad. Who said in a film, "For a minute there, room service took on a whole new meaning"? In an Australian accent, old Crocodile Dundee when staying at the Plaza Hotel on 5th Avenue, Central Park South, Manhattan.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Guess what? That's enough for this edition of the Crazy Shorter Than Short podcast show. From me, Mike Kelly, thank you for listening. Please take care out there. And remember, you can always find the podcast by searching or shouting the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast show.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
This is the Mike Kelly podcast.
Mikedjkelly.